There's something really strange about Harvard. The place where students learn the most isn't the classroom. Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Harvard doesn't just build great lecture halls. It builds an entire environment where learning happens everywhere. A lunch conversation can teach you more than a whole class. A short chat can completely change the way you see a field. Just walking down a hallway can spark a brand new idea. So while most students only learn when they open a textbook, Harvard students are basically learning all day long, without even realizing it. The secret comes down to 6 principles, and most universities don't use any of them. By the end of this video, you'll be able to use all of them, without ever setting foot at Harvard. Alright, let's start with the first principle. Right to think. More than 150 years ago, Harvard figured out something important. If you can't write it clearly, you don't really understand it. Most of us, when we're learning something new, just sit down, read the same pages over and over, close the book, and assume we've got it. But the truth is, we're only scratching the surface. We recognize the words and mistake familiarity for understanding. Yet the moment you close the book and try to write down what you just learned, your mind freezes. Writing it out forces you to see the gaps in your understanding. Harvard figured this out a long time ago. Back in 1872, Harvard created a course called Expose 20. Every single Harvard student, no matter their major, has to take it. The classes are small, usually just about 12 students and one instructor. It's basically a writing workshop. Everyone in the class focuses on the same topic, and each student writes an essay about it. After every draft, the instructor gives extremely detailed feedback. Is the main argument clear? Does the logic hold up? Is the evidence strong enough? Can you actually address the opposing view? Then students revise and rewrite over and over again. The goal of Expose 20 isn't to write fancy sentences. It's to learn how to think clearly and argue logically through writing. Many students say it's the most valuable academic experience they had at Harvard. It doesn't just make you a better writer. It trains you to analyze, think critically, and present your ideas persuasively. The foundation of the method is simple. Learn. Write. See the mistakes. Rewrite. You keep repeating that cycle. And over time, you understand the material much more deeply while sharpening your reasoning skills. You can use this exact method in your own learning. Treat AI like a personal instructor. Use it to find the weak spots in your reasoning and arguments. Over time, both your writing and your thinking will get sharper. Next up, the learning mindset. At most universities, students rarely ask professors questions or discuss ideas with their classmates. At Harvard, it's almost the complete opposite. Students jump on every chance to talk to professors. During breaks, walking across campus, even over lunch. They're not just asking about things they didn't understand. They're asking for feedback, bouncing research ideas around, and testing their thinking. Sometimes a 20-minute conversation is worth more than hours of studying alone. This kind of initiative in learning doesn't happen by accident. It mainly comes from the culture the school works hard to build. In most universities, especially in many Asian countries, the system tends to reward memorization and accepting what the teacher says. At Harvard, professors care more about the quality of your thinking. They actively encourage you to question them and push back. Here's a clear example. In many Harvard classes, 50% of your grade comes from exams. The other 50% is based on how actively you participate in discussions and contribute in class. So students aren't just memorizing information. They're learning to analyze, defend their views, listen to criticism, and change their mind when someone makes a stronger argument. That's a very different approach from the traditional rote learning model. Next method, active learning. Research shows that this is one of the most effective ways to learn, and it's the method most Harvard students actually use. Most of us are still learning passively. We just take in information by listening to lectures, reading, highlighting, listening to audiobooks, and filling notebooks with notes. It feels productive, but the results are usually pretty weak. Active learning is the opposite. It forces you to pull the information out of your own head. That keeps your brain constantly working and thinking. Passive learning is like standing in the gym holding a bubble tea in one hand and a slice of pizza in the other, just watching other people lift weights. It's not going to get you anywhere. Active learning is like working out your brain. And just like muscles, the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Here are some ways Harvard students put active learning into practice. First method, active recall. To make what you learn stick, follow these steps. Read the material. Close the book and try to recall everything you just read. Open the book and check what you got right, what you missed, and what you got wrong. Close it again and recall once more. Keep repeating this cycle until you can recall everything without looking at the book. When you use this method, it will feel uncomfortable. But that discomfort is exactly what helps the information stick. Next technique, the Feynman technique. The core idea is simple. If you want to truly master something, teach it to someone else. After you finish learning a topic, stand up and imagine you're teaching it to another person. You can say it out loud or just think it through in your head. Don't just repeat the exact words from the book. Instead, explain it in your own words, using your own examples. The moment you can turn dry textbook language into your own words and your own understanding, that's when the knowledge truly becomes yours. Next method, spaced repetition. Here's the simple version. When something is important and you really want to remember it, review it after these intervals. 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, and 30 days. If you only study something once and never review it, your brain treats it as unimportant and quietly deletes it. That's why review matters. And research has shown that those intervals are some of the most effective times to reinforce your memory. Next principle. Learn by debating, not by taking notes. In many Harvard classes, the students talk more than the professor. A typical session can look like this. The professor asks a question. One student shares an opinion. Another student challenges it, and the professor keeps pushing with follow-up questions. The goal isn't to memorize the right answer. It's to learn how to think, how to reason, and how to defend your point of view. One thing many Harvard alumni say is this: the best students aren't always the smartest ones. They're the ones who prepare consistently, ask a lot of questions, openly admit when they're wrong, and keep fixing their mistakes. Over time, good habits make a much bigger difference than raw talent. Most of us will never have a learning environment as strong as Harvard's. But we can still use AI to create something similar. Treat AI like a teacher. Learn from it. And whenever you notice that its reasoning is weak or incomplete, challenge it. Ask questions. Push back. This process will steadily improve both your knowledge and your critical thinking. Final principle. Build your learning environment. Most Harvard students live in the university's residential houses. There are about 12 of these houses, all located around the main campus. Each one houses between 350 and 500 students. These houses provide almost everything students need: dining halls, study rooms, libraries, and gyms. And it's not just students who live there. Many professors also live and work in the same community. The result is an environment packed with some of the most talented students and professors in the world. As the saying goes, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This kind of environment constantly pushes students to improve. Environment is stronger than willpower. So take the initiative to build a strong learning environment for yourself. The simplest way is to go to the library regularly. When you see other people working hard around you, it naturally motivates you to work harder too. If you spend a few hours every day at a gaming lounge, sooner or later you'll end up playing games. But if you spend a few hours every day in the library, sooner or later you'll open a book. That's the power of environment. In the end, Harvard's system works so well because it's designed to make passive learning almost impossible. This system isn't cheating, but it does give their students an unfair advantage. Because almost no one else is taught to learn this way. And now, you know. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it?